Well, hello everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I hope everything is starting to smooth out for you and things are still going good. As always, if you need us, please don't be afraid to reach out to us. I know I'm excited to get to be back together Sunday, even if it's not going to be just completely normal, just getting to see everyone. It's just going to be very exciting. So if you have a Bible, open up to 2 Kings chapter 5. 2 Kings chapter 5. So we're going to continue our theme of looking at different Bible characters that have gone through tests and trials and see some lessons we can learn from it, either how they handle things correctly or how they handle things in the wrong way. And today what we're going to do is we're going to look at a story of a man called Naaman. And this is probably a story you've heard, and probably, you've heard sermons about it, maybe classes, maybe a VBS kind of thing. So it's probably something you've heard, but it's also one of those stories that's just not talked about very much. In the Bible, we kind of have our biblical celebrities, people we look at all the time, our go-to Bible characters. And this isn't one of them, but this is just a really interesting story with just a simple message. And so I just want to look at a couple of things that we can learn from the story. So the first thing I want to do is I want to just read the story. It's just 14 verses. And I just want to talk about what we can learn from it. So 2 Kings chapter 5. Starting at verse 1. It says, Naaman, commander of the army of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master and in high favor, because by him the Lord had given victory to Syria. He was a mighty man of valor, but he was a leper. Now the Syrians on one of their raids had carried off a little girl from the land of Israel, and she worked in the service of Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, would that my Lord were with the prophet who is in Samaria. He would cure him of his leprosy. So Naaman went in and told his Lord, Thus and so spoke the girl from the land of Israel, and the king of Syria said, Go now, and I will send a letter to the king of Israel. So he went, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 changes of clothing. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, which read, When this letter reaches you, know that I have sent to you Naaman my servant, that you may cure him of his leprosy. And when the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his clothes and said, Am I God to kill and to make alive, that this man sends word to me to cure a man of his leprosy? Only consider and see how he is seeking a quarrel with me. But when Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his clothes, he sent to the king, saying, Why have you torn your clothes? Let him come now to me, that he may know that there is a prophet in Israel. So Naaman came with his horses and chariots, and at the door of Elisha's house. And Elisha sent a messenger to him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and your flesh shall be restored, and you shall be clean. But Naaman was angry and went away, saying, Behold, I thought that he would surely come out to me and stand and call upon the name of the Lord and wave his hand over the place and cure the leper. Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Could I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in rage. But his servants came near and said to him, My father, it is a great word the prophet has spoken to you. Will you not do it? Has he actually said to you, Wash and be clean? So he went down and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the word of the man of God. And his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. So basically what we have here is Naaman. He was a really good commander of the army, a really powerful man, but he has leprosy. So here's the test or the trial that he has in his life. And you think, if you don't know what leprosy is, it's just when your body just has boils and disgusting things all over it. And that's just a miserable way to live. So he's living like this. And one of the servants that he has offers a way for him to go help, for him to go see a man of God. So he goes to Israel and he finds Elisha, the man of God, tells him what to do. He tells him to go dip in the Jordan 7 times. And he's just confused. Why could he not just call upon the name of the Lord? Or why didn't he help me go dip in these bodies of water? They're a lot better. And then his servants tell him that maybe you should do it. He's a man of God. He told you to do it. So he dips in the Jordan and he's healed. Just a simple story of someone that has issues and then they go to God and they're fixed. And I think that's just a simple message we can learn is we have issues, we can go to God and they can be fixed. And that's so hard for us to put into reality, but that's how simple it can be. And sure, things might not be fixed how we want them, but God will fix them. God will be there for us. So there's a couple things I want to learn from Naaman. And there's a word that comes to my mind about him, and I think we can all relate to this, and that's the word stubborn. We're all stubborn in our ways. I know personally, I don't like getting help from anyone. I don't want anyone to do anything for me. I feel guilty. I don't want to ask for help. I want to be able to do things on my own. You think about people that get older. As they get older, you're not able to do things as well as you could do them when you're younger. But you're going to be stubborn, and you're not going to admit that, and you're going to continue to try to do those things and maybe hurt yourself or find yourself in a bad situation. But we're all stubborn. And I think we can be stubborn spiritually. And I think we can be stubborn with the church, because we had Naaman, and he didn't want help, kind of. And that seems really weird, but he was told what to go do, and he went and did it. And then once the solution was there, he really didn't want to go. He didn't want to go do what was offered. And I think that's crazy. And sometimes we find ourselves not wanting to ask for help and not wanting to receive help from God or receive help from our church family. But what's great about being a Christian is that's what it's there for. Prayer is for us to be able to turn to God. Our church family is for us to be able to turn to Him. And we're so stubborn, and we want to try to get through things on our own, but we don't have to. If we have something we need to talk about, if we have some kind of physical issue, we can go to people. You can go to members of the church, and you can go to God. And we're so stubborn sometimes, and we don't want to do that, but it's something we should do. And a lot of times, we find ourselves in the situation that Naaman was in. The solution was offered to him, but he didn't want to take it, because in his mind, that's just not what he needed to do. Well, sometimes we got to stop being so stubborn and figure out what's best. And you think about this story, the reason that, and it kind of makes sense why Naaman was so stubborn, because, he thought about these different places of water. You see in verse 12, aren't all these bodies of water a lot better? And, you think, if he's a man of God, could he not have just healed me right then? Why did I have to go to the bodies of water? And, we want, either we could be in the situation of we're so stubborn we're not going to ask for help. And I hope you don't find yourself in that situation. But if you do, you should ask for help. But then if we do ask for help, then we think that it should turn out this way. Or here's what we think the solution is. But we have to understand that we're not God. And we can't play God. I think about in my life, I've had several situations where I had a plan and I wanted it to turn out like this. And it didn't happen like I wanted it. And at the moment, I was so upset and so mad, and I wondered why it didn't happen. And then later, maybe something better came along, or a different situation happened, or something was revealed of why I shouldn't have done that. Because I know that if I follow God, God will have my best interest in mind, and He will do what's best for me. And He always has. He always will. And I think that's something we can learn from Naaman. So there's two levels of stubborn that I think that we can apply to our lives, and I hope you can get past these levels. The first one is just being stubborn in general and not wanting help. Don't ever be in that situation. There's a fine line of having self-pride and, not relying on others, and then finding yourself in a bad situation. I know, speaking for myself, when I've been in spiritual lows, I'm ashamed to turn to other people. I'm ashamed to talk about it. But when you talk about it, that makes you spiritually stronger than you could have ever been. And it honestly makes people look up to you. I know, as I've done preaching and done a lot of different speaking opportunities, I've had several people come forward. And when they do, I look at that person differently. Not in a bad way, but in a good way. Because for one, I know they listen to what I said, and then they're willing to try to fix it. They're willing to try to be better. And they have the courage to go forward. I know a lot of times when, the elder gets up to pray, it's not a thing of, look, here's a sinner, here's somebody who's messed up, look how dumb they are. That's not how it ever is. It's always, look at this person and their courage and their willingness to be better. And so you've got to get past that wall of stubborn that we all find ourselves in and be willing to get help. Always be willing to get help from God, and then be willing to get help from other people. Naaman took the advice from someone else. He had probably tried different things throughout his life to heal his leprosy. He tried advice from someone else. He relied on someone else. He relied on a man of God. And ultimately, he relied on God, and everything was taken care of. So get past that first wall of stubborn, of being ashamed, not wanting to ask for help, because it's always something you can do, especially the church family. Our church family is always willing to help in any way possible. And then you think, if you can get past that wall of not willing to ask for help, once you do ask for help, it might not be how you want it. I think, maybe you go to the elders for something and here's your idea. And then, maybe that's just not the way it needs to be handled. So they think, well, okay, here's how we can do it. And it might not be exactly what you planned, but you think that things are working out for the best. And you think about going to God. Many situations, what you pray for can feel like it's not answered. But really, God is just answering it in a better way possible. So get past your levels of stubborn. I hope this has been beneficial for you. This is a time that you really have to not be stubborn and be willing to ask for help. And I know it's difficult not getting to be at church and not getting to have normal invitations and not getting to have normal encounters with people. And we're about to hopefully start getting to do that a little more. But you can always ask for help. You always can. You can always turn to God. And then you can always turn to other people.